Clark, 7th year of the SuperClash. Can you tell us how much this means to you, such a great cause? Good Fridays, it's North Melbourne's Day.
Yeah, it's evolved in a pretty special way, particularly community-wise, in the recognition and acknowledgement of the hospital staff in particular who do in the research. They just do such a fantastic job. You know, the appeal itself has been going for years and years, but footy was never played on Good Friday for a long period of time, and just in the last 7 or 8 years, it's allowed us to and the footy community to really rally behind it and give it the support and the recognition it deserves. So we got over the journey, we've had some tremendous ambassadors. We've got little Tommy, who's the ambassador this year, and just some beautiful stories. And the good thing for our footy club, speak about the professional footy, and sometimes you can just get wound up in the importance of things that are nowhere near as important as the health of our next generation. So the work that they do is just superb, and their connection with footy allows us to put smiles on the faces of these little boys and girls who, for whatever reason, have confronted some pretty significant challenge in their lives. And if we can put a smile on their face just for a few days, it's pretty special.
How special is that for the playing group? Seeing the kids excited, putting a smile on their faces throughout the day.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty special too that both Carlton and North are the ones involved in the game, and the Royal Children's Hospital sits equal distance from both of us. So that's pretty special for both clubs to get behind this. But the whole football community gets behind it, and indeed football got behind it when it was the appeal as well, and it's still all part of the appeal. But it actually gets a chance to put all these families and these little kids on centre stage, which is special for our players and special for the whole football community to just step back for a little while and realise that there's little ones in our lives that are all coping with challenges, and it's just a chance to just step back and acknowledge those guys.
So you think North Melbourne Carlton, that's the right matchup given the proximity with the hospital?
Yeah, I think it's worked really well. I know that all the work that North have done with the Carlton Footy Club to promote this game together really has been really special over a long period of time. The Carlton Footy Club have got behind it as well. So we'd hope to think that it stays a staple part of the calendar for many years to come.
So a bit of the narrative this week, I'm not sure if you've heard much of it, is that people seem to be in a big rush for North Melbourne to improve quickly. Where do you sit on how fast this should be going?
Yeah, we're all in a rush as well. We want it to happen quickly, and we're working our darndest to make sure that's the case. This particular week, like George is going to play this week, so of our whole band of early draft picks, this is the first time we've had all these lads together to play in the one side. For a whole number of reasons, whether it's been form or injury or just not ready to play. So George will come in, and he hasn't played a game as yet this year, so that's really exciting for our club and our supporters. But we know, in our back end, for instance, with Griff Logue's injuries and Zach Fisher and these sorts of guys, Luke McDonald, they haven't played a hell of a lot of footy together in the last 12 to 18 months. So, we're mindful of the fact that in 4 of our games we've let through over 100 points. You're not winning too many games of footy when that happens, but part of it is just getting our group to play together on a regular basis. Now we're mindful of the fact that we need to get better in that space. We're not going to win too many games of footy, as I just said, with allowing the opposition to get through us so easily. Some of that is just raw inside 50 numbers, and some of it is then their capacity to score once they do get in there as well. And we need to fix up both those areas. We'll be doing our darndest to try to stop a Carlton side who are pretty good at moving the ball from one end of the ground to the other. It's been a real improvement in their game, despite the fact that their scoreline suggests that they've only won one win for the year as well, one game for the year as well. But that's a part of the game that they've been relatively strong and changed over the last little while. So we need to be right on our mettle. So that's great for us. They want to challenge us with speed of ball movement. They're number one mark play on side in the competition. Then that's a challenge for us. And if we get that right, then we'll stop their inside 50s and their scoring. If we don't get it right, then we're in trouble again. So, but that's a challenge for this week, but that's an ongoing challenge in every game of footy that we play, because what we do know is the is the sides that win premierships are usually the sides that are really, really good in the defensive space, and we need to improve in that area.
You mentioned George is back. Do you just unleash him, let him go as hard?
Well, yeah, George will unleash himself. There's no question about that. We probably have to have a little bit of a harness on him, not when he's on the ground, but just a harness in terms of the amount of game time he has. He's had a really good conditioning block over the last 4 weeks, and that's encaptured two games of footy in the reserve. So we feel he's well prepared, but there's always a big step up in intensity from one level to the next, and we understand that. But our conditioning staff and George himself reckon they're ready to play, and so we back him in and let the lad get to work.
How do you quell Charlie Curnow's influence? Arguably had his best game during gather round.
Yeah, well, he's just been building, Charlie, hasn't he? He's had obviously a very interrupted pre-season with some surgeries, and probably got unfairly critiqued in his early games. Just it's so hard in this game, even when you're a star of the competition like he is, to be at your very best when you haven't had the perfect preparation. But now that he's played 4 or 5 of the games, we're starting to see the more damage in Charlie Curnow, unfortunately for us. So we're going to have to be right on our mettle. But as I just indicated with our defensive action stuff, we're hoping that part of the way of curtailing Charlie is to not let the ball get to his area as often as what it can. And if we can do that, that'll help. But obviously we need to, when it does get in there, because it will get in there at some point in time, of course. So we need to do our best to nullify him, because he is a genuine superstar of the game that's starting to find his good form.
No big H. Does that change the mindset?
I'll be interested to see what they do. We're uncertain how they'll structure up, and we'll have a look at the way that they select their side tonight. But we've just got to be prepared for everything. They might go a little bit smaller, or they might bring Big Pitto back into their side, and they might take Jack Silvani forward. We're not sure. That's up to Carlton. But we just got to be prepared for whatever they throw at us. But we know that they're a very, very capable side, and they'll work out what they're going to do, and we've just got to respond to it as best we can.
It was a hot one in the Barossa over the weekend, which you mentioned yourself, you kind of struggled with the conditions. It's going to be hot again tomorrow. Marvel is expected to have a closed roof. How do you think you'll go with that?
We've had a 6-day break, and our training's been pretty light. As I think anyone who went to Adelaide last week, I think every side would be lightening off their training a little bit this week because of the hot conditions over there. So our boys trained really, really well on Tuesday, given the fact that they'd played in the heat on the weekend. They'd recovered particularly well, and it was pretty light training, as you would have seen this morning. So they're hungry to atone for a pretty disappointing fade out in the last 40 minutes of the game. With 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, we were 6 points in front last week, and to lose that by 50 points or thereabouts was really disappointing. So they're pretty keen to atone for that, and they've pulled up pretty fresh. So we're expecting our boys will be able to go 100%. And yeah, if it's going to be hot again tomorrow, then we just got to deal with it. We didn't deal with that very well in the last part of the game last week. We're hoping that with those experiences that we'll get better over time.
Tristan's been carrying a little bit of a niggle. Is he getting closer to 100%? Like, is he improving week on week?
Yeah, I think he's. We wouldn't play him if he was in any doubt. But he's come up against, and I dare say it's no different this week. He's got up against DeConning, but the last 3 weeks he played against Gawn and did particularly well. Then he got O'Brien against Adelaide. We got big wits. Grundy, who'd come off a disappointing game for him against Fremantle, got subbed out, and then he's. It was like he was playing for his career against us 2 weeks ago, and he was just superb. So every week's a significant challenge for all players, but particularly in the ruck division. It's such an important area of the ground with how many stoppages there are. So he's got another big challenge this week. DeConning's a different sort of ruckman, left-hander for a start, but also very, very athletic. So different sort of challenge for him again this week, and hopefully he'll be up for the challenge again.